Welcome back to The Joy of Vinyl. I'm Rick Coste. One of the first terms I encountered when really diving into trying to find that magical listening experience when the speakers disappear and it's just you and the musicians is amp classes. The Galleon TS120 tube amp I recently bought is capable of switching between Class A and Class AB. I prefer Class A. But why? What's the difference? Well, that's exactly what we're going to look at today. Now, as with everything, consider this an intro or a primer to the topic. It's not going to be super technical. And the learning never ends, especially for me. I learn new things every single day. Sometimes what I learn contradicts or changes my mind about something I used to do or used to recommend, such as this. I no longer recommend using it, and I've gone back to using a stylus brush to clean my stylus. Say that's 3 times fast, stylus brush. But anyway, that's not what we're here for. I'll save what I changed on my journey for another time. We're here to talk about amplifier classes. And let's see if I can do this in less than 10 minutes. Years ago, when someone said, I have a Class A amp, or my amp is Class D, I used to think it meant how good the amp was, like a test score, Class A being the best and, well, D meaning that you flunked. Well, of course that's not true. It has to do with the amplifier's design, how efficient it is with the energy it uses, and how it converts that energy into, well, the wonderful sounds that we hear coming out of our speakers. There are a few different classes, but the ones we will focus on today are the ones you'll most likely encounter when shopping around for a new amp or replacing the one you have. These are the classes: Class A, B, AB, and D. Let's start with Class A because it'll set the tone for the rest. And yes, there was a pun intended on that. So to do this, I want to use an analogy. I typically use analogies because it's easier for me. And so let's go. The analogy I like to use is running. I used to run all the time until I did something to my ankle. Now I'm back to using an elliptical at the gym and walking. But think of a Class A amp as being like a long distance runner, a marathon runner. I know a guy who runs 50 miles on any given Saturday, not as a competition or as part of some marathon training, but because he enjoys it. I don't get it. Class A amplifiers keep a constant pace, just like that runner. They're always pumping energy regardless of what's being called for. As a result, they tend to lead to a better sound quality, but are less efficient when it comes to energy use. With a Class A amp, there's a constant flow of energy. They run whether or not there's a signal. When there's no signal, that extra energy is converted into heat. And they can run very hot. As much as 75% of their energy can be lost and turned into heat. That's a lot of lost energy, but a great sound. Now here's one way to look at it. Take a single transistor, pump energy into it, and keep it going. Next up is Class B. Think of Class B as a relay race. You've seen those, right? Where one runner stops completely and passes the baton to the next runner who takes off with it. It's a bit more efficient than Class A because there's less energy being used. But there's the chance for the loss of sound quality or sonic distortion at the handover or that crossover point. So you won't see many Class B amps out in the wild. So each runner is like a transistor. One transistor handles the negative voltage and the other handles the positive voltage. Each is on half the time and combine their energy into a single unit. That half on, half off results in about a 50% efficiency, certainly better than the Class A in handling energy. Class A, remember, was 25% efficient. Class AB, as you can guess, is the best of both worlds. Again, we can compare it to a relay race, but this time it's a smoother handover point. The runner passes the energy passes the baton over to the next runner who's already running. So they run in parallel. There's no stop and start. There's a balance between efficiency and sound quality. The point of distortion at that crossover point has been practically eliminated. Now, instead of the two transistors or runners being half on and half off like with Class B, they're mostly on at all times. The result is around 60% efficiency. Many amps on the market employ this technology and are rated Class AB because of it. Then there's Class D. Now, have you ever seen those sprinters on a track who sprint for like, say, 100 feet or so, and then they stop to walk another 100 feet before sprinting again? Well, Class D amps utilize a very efficient design and less energy. A good Class D amp walks a very delicate line to maintain sound quality. And to do so, they have to use a filter to handle those pulses that are caused by the stops and starts. When done correctly, they can sound amazing. But even better, they can also be 90% efficient when it comes to energy use. How about a quick little chart? Your amp's mileage may vary, but we'll start at the very first lane there. Now, this little guy in the Class A lane uses a lot of energy, but loses nothing when it comes to sound. Think of distortion like the sound of a crowd watching him run. Now, he can't hear the crowd because he's focused. He's too focused and he's constantly running. Here, in the Class B lane, the runners in the relay sprint, they stop and pass the baton off for the next runner. They lose some energy, but not as much as in the first lane. At the crossover, there's distortion introduced. The roar of the crowd reaches their ears at the point of that crossover. In the Class AB lane, the runners continue to run during the pass-off. They run in parallel. There's less energy loss and less distortion introduced. They may hear the crowd when they slow down during the pass-off, but it's greatly reduced. Last, the guy in the Class D lane, he stops and starts constantly. He uses way less energy, but there's more chance of distortion. He hears the crowd loud and clear when he's not sprinting. So to reduce that crowd noise, he has to filter it out, so he wears headphones. And there you have it. I said I'd do it in less than 10 minutes. Did it. You can show your appreciation for not boring you for over 10 minutes by clicking subscribe over here. And thank you for watching. And until next time, please take care of yourself and enjoy your records.